We dust ourselves off, we get back in the saddle, and we gallop forward to the fight.
Eggo. Actually, I'm better at Eggo waffles.
Well. I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. We're going to have Pierre Poilievre delivering a speech from the Calgary Stampede, but first, we've got to watch this doofus Prime Minister we have flipping pancakes for Albertans. You're a daisy if you do.
See, I'm here. I'm more in management. You can pancake. You got flip. What's all this? Cheers. I got a special. Oh my God, your grill is hot. Yes. Oh, there you go. Yes, you can flip that one. I know. Oh, there you go. That's not it. That's not. I was better in Ottawa. There you go. I'm gonna do another one. I got another one. I'm practicing. I got a little cocky there. But I was unfair. No, I'll take responsibility. Okay. I can have that one. These are mine. Okay, all right. I'm not making anyone eat these. Where are you putting them in here? You put them in my corner there. All right. The card. Now, did you ever see
We won't watch him for too long, but it's humiliating. Like, for him and us, this whole relationship with him being a fake and phony prime minister that stole the election. Check out what happened in Carleton. We'll be making a video about that later. Goodness gracious, this guy is a disgrace.
when I was a kid, this is a show called The Galloping Gourmet. Yes. Yeah. Did anyone remember The Galloping Gourmet? Any of you guys? Yeah. You'd always be like, here's what I made earlier. So let's just ignore everything that happened. It's like, oh, look at this perfect pancake. Looks pretty good. Go back in. Go back in. Some of the things you have to learn.
A funny thing about Carney is he's always trying to establish a connection by using references from like pop culture Canada. It's fake and phony, elbows up. Get lost, but it's time for this guy to go. We need an election. Let's get into Pierre Poilievre coming up in a moment.
Yeah. Just a touch. Have you done this before? I think you made him too big. That was the problem. I'm gonna do. You gotta like let it sit for like. I'm gonna do Cody Boy's size. So anyway, so he's got this whole minute and a half or something with that's there we go. Hey, not bad. Aren't you good? Like 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. It's all right. You gonna eat one of these? You ready? You play lacrosse? Good man. You play box lacrosse? That's a real sport. That's a real tough one. He was a goalie. That's very hockey. Wasn't very good. I didn't like to. You're gonna have to go find your GA. Finally. Did you stop filming before that? Anyway, so they got this fusion. We're talking about it in the stand.
As painful as it is, we're going to watch a couple more moments with Mark Carney. We will get into Pierre Poilievre and his speech from the Stampede. But this guy, man, did you play box lacrosse? Oh, that's a real who cares what you think? That kid is even creeped out.
They want to build this center of all the university research on ag, coming in with the private sector as well, and then they have a Stampede exhibit on the saddle with the saddle. Yeah, I said that you could. I'll follow up if you follow up now. So there you go. Okay, there you go. I was there before burns. Six chef. So you want me to flip? You want the big Ottawa flip? So close. Okay, sorry. We're gonna be here all day. Until I get it right. Anyways, yeah, you follow up. I know you gotta go. You got like.
The national self-sabotage that has happened over the last 10 years has has to end. That's what I mean by enough is enough.
This is a weird job sometimes, eh? Putting your pancakes.
There are certain things in my job I'm better at.
Because I'm a good negotiator.
I'm better at eating pancakes. It's like better at flipping them. I'm better at waffles.
It's because you're gonna grill. That's
And you just have to take it.
it's more of an industrial process.
Eggo. Actually, I'm better at Eggo waffles.
Okay, this is it.
Yeah, this is it,
This
Eleanor.
is the
This is the one. I'm going to wait till those bubbles pop. And he's skeptical.
Yup, Canadians are skeptical, but it hasn't been a great performance. Let's take a look at Pierre Poilievre. He's delivering a speech and not being super creepy at the Stampede.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard.
Thank you, Calgary. It's great to be home. It's great to be back here for the greatest outdoor show on earth. And before I begin, thank you to the amazing Damien Couric, a man for whom I will forever be grateful. Thank you, Damien. You know, there'll be more to say about him in a moment, but I did overhear him talking about my door knocking, and what he forgot to tell was his first campaign. Despite the immense lead he had, he did not want to take anything for granted. Damien was out door knocking, I think it was in Drumheller, and he wouldn't let up. It got to be 9 o'clock, it was late at night, and he kept going. And his team said, you know, it's getting to be 9:15, maybe you should think about stopping. He said, no, we got to keep on going. He wanted to win every single vote. So it got to be 9:30. The lights were starting to go out on the street, and Damien just kept on going. And finally, his team said, Damien, you're going to start costing us rather than winning us votes. He said, okay, I'll make you a deal. One more vote, and then I stop. He goes up to this house, lights are all off, bangs on the door. All of a sudden, babies crying. Multiple babies crying. The lights go on, they're screaming and hollering from the parents. The mother opens the door and says, you just woke up my triplets. And my husband, she says, who is an Olympic weightlifter, is going to be coming down to have a word with you. And he said, that won't be necessary, just tell him that the Liberal candidate came by to say hello. How are you, Premier? Great to see Premier Danielle Smith, a champion for freedom. Wow. They love you, Danielle, and I know that you're a very hospitable person at Stampede time, even for Liberals. We have to be hospitable. And so let me start in a spirit of nonpartisanship as a Calgarian to welcome Prime Minister Mark Carney to his very first Stampede in this role. And he had, of course, to do the customary thing and flip some pancakes. Now, he thought he would be great at it because in his trade talks with Trump, he's had so much experience flip-flopping. But still, it didn't go as planned. One of the pancakes got broken in half and the other one splattered everywhere. And he owned up to it, but a careful review of a slow motion replay demonstrated exactly what the problem was. He couldn't figure out whether to put his elbows up or down. So, but it is great to be home here. I used to come here to Heritage Park when I was in school. They'd bring us here, our parents would dress us up like it was 1905. And we go into the little schoolhouse, I think it's still over there, and they even had the little strap. They didn't hit us very hard, but I got a little bit of a mark on my palm for talking too much during the class. And this is the place that taught me my values, the values of hard work, freedom, family, values that my wife Anna, who I'm very honored to have with me here, shares, the values with which we're raising our kids. I grew up in these neighborhoods, walked my dog, ran my dog in Fish Creek Park, delivered the Calgary Sun door to door as my very first job, played hockey in the local arenas. And these values that I've taken from this community and this province have taken me forward. And of course, these are the values of all Albertans. They're the values that Damien Couric has demonstrated in putting his country first. And I'm very excited. Yes, give him one more round of applause. Damien is a family man, a hardworking patriot, a great farmer, beloved in his community, known and trusted by people far and wide. And the story that touches me most about him and Danielle was about a year ago, his father passed away unexpectedly right in the middle of the harvest, and they have 6,000 acres that they had to bring home. And if you can imagine, making arrangements and mourning such a loss in the middle of the harvest was a big problem. They didn't know how they were going to bring home the crop. Then all of a sudden, there were these combines that just appeared from all directions on one morning. And they fanned out into the field, and they brought home the crop and dropped it in the bins and went back to their farms to do their jobs. And that really is the story of Alberta, isn't it? It was a harvest in more than one way. It was a harvest of the crop that had been planted, but also a harvest of all the friendships that had been built over so many years. But the Alberta Way didn't require a government program or a grant or an application to come to the rescue in a time of difficulty, because that's not how Albertans work. They get up, they get it done, they do what's right, they help a neighbor, and when they're done, they don't expect any thank you. They go back to doing their business and caring for their families. That's what it means to be an Albertan. That's the spirit of the Stampede, the spirit of free enterprise, personal responsibility, communities coming together, neighbors helping each other. It's about remembering where you come from so you know where you're going. But that is also the story of Canada. And on the topic of Canada, we know that there can only be a strong Canada when there is a strong and respected Alberta. For me, that's personal. I was born in '79, and of course, only a few years later, Pierre Elliott Trudeau would attack our province with the National Energy Program. Not to mention, there's still a few that remember that. Many probably still paying the bill from it. At the same time, he hammered the entire country with money printing deficits that gave us the worst inflation and interest rates in our history. Our family actually lost our home, and we had to scrimp and save and get help from extended family in order to get our little place in Shaughnessy, which my mother still lives in. I think my mother is here today somewhere. There she is. And when I got a little older and I started to understand politics and realize what had happened and why we had gone through so much hardship in my early childhood, that's one of the things that got me into politics, to join with fellow Westerners to stand up for our province, for fairness within a united Canada, to stand with the great leaders like Preston Manning, Stockwell Day, Stephen Harper, Ralph Klein, and to carry on the tradition that they started. And we'll do it again. And we will do it again. What's that? Peter Lougheed, another one. Yep, he was a little early for me, but yes, absolutely, Peter Lougheed. And you look too young to have known Peter Lougheed, but that is the tradition that Danielle carries on today. And let me tell you, we are going to fight for our province again. We'll fight for oil and gas, for farmers, for low taxes, for decentralization, a stronger military, and a smaller federal government so that we can have a bigger Alberta. And if elected in Battle River Crowfoot, I'll use the platform of Leader of the Opposition to amplify the legitimate demands of Western Canada to end the unfair treatment. The era of Ottawa telling Alberta to pay up and shut up must end once and for all. But the answer is alliances. We need to build alliances with other provinces that share our destiny and our interests. Let's build an alliance with British Columbians who want to ship liquefied natural gas off of our Pacific coast to Asia and bring home hundreds of billions of dollars in paychecks doing it. Let's build alliances. Let's build alliances with Saskatchewanians and Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who want to develop their oil and gas and aren't interested in having anyone in Ottawa cap how much they can produce. Let's build alliances with Manitobans who want to ship oil out of the port of Churchill. Let's build alliances, yes, let's build alliances with Quebec and other provinces that want to decentralize our country and get Ottawa out of our business so that provinces and people can make their own decisions. Nous allons bâtir des alliances avec les autres provinces, y compris le Québec, pour la décentralisation et pour l'autonomie des provinces et pour nous débarrasser des gouvernements centralisateurs, des politiciens qui veulent contrôler tout. We want to put our country and our people back in charge of their lives. Now, to be honest, I wanted to return here today with an election victory. Though we didn't win, we made extraordinary gains. We added 25 new seats and 2.5 million extra votes, the biggest share of vote since 1988. We added union members, young people, new Canadians, and countless others to our bigger and broader coalition. We earned the support of these people by talking about the things that matters. My friends, we won every single major debate of our time on inflation, on housing, on natural resources, crime, drugs, and yes, the carbon tax. Conservatives led the debate and Conservatives won the debate, and we know that people would still be paying the carbon tax today had we not put in that fight. Now the Liberals, they have a new salesman. They changed Trudeau for Carney. And he has a new, it's a new look, new talking points, some of which he's plagiarized from yours truly. And he's now claiming to support things that he's long opposed. Beyond that, he's trying to flip-flop on the issues that we know he really believes in. But at his core, he believes in the same top-down government knows best approach. Carney's first ever spending bill boosted the cost of government by 8% in just 1 year. That's twice the combined rate of inflation and population growth. And I note that that is on the baseline of the biggest, fattest, most morbidly obese government we've ever had. He's kept Trudeau's failed policies, the same red tape, the same production caps, the no new pipelines law, the ban on oil tankers, on gas-powered cars, and on much more. His catch and release laws, he's kept them in place. He hasn't changed them. You know, the former Liberal Justice Minister actually had his car stolen 3 times. This is a true story. He literally had his car stolen 3 times while he was Justice Minister, letting car thieves out of jail. But, you know, it is kind of surprising that they would target the former Justice Minister or a Liberal politician, because you'd think there'd be some sort of professional courtesy in their industry. Mr. Carney, though, has done nothing to reverse this policy, and crime rages in our streets as a result. He's kept Trudeau's out-of-control immigration. His deficits are spiraling out of control. Think of this. Over the last 10 years, Liberals have created a morbidly obese government, and over the last 10 weeks, Mark Carney has added hundreds of billions of dollars of new spending promises to it. Ces déficits sont complètement hors de contrôle. Au cours des 10 dernières années, les libéraux ont créé un gouvernement morbidement obèse. Et au cours des 10 dernières semaines, M. Carney y a ajouté des centaines de milliards de dollars, brisant sa promesse de dépenser moins. Ça, c'est irresponsable. Il nous faut contrôler les dépenses. The reality is, my friends, that Mark Carney and the Liberals are spending irresponsibly and threatening our present generation with high inflation and our future generations with more debt. In fact, it looks like this year's Liberal deficit might be even bigger than the one that Trudeau left behind. The Liberals have gone from the budget will balance itself to there's no budget at all. And this is really building on their ideology: tax, regulate, subsidize, repeat. Mr. Carney has the same approach as Trudeau on this as well. Liberals block things, and then they subsidize those same things. Think about it. They block pipelines. Then they buy pipelines. They pay local bureaucracies to block home building. Then they create a $25 billion bureaucracy to build homes. They ban independent media from the internet, and then they subsidize other media, supposedly because we have a crisis in news coverage. They pass laws that stop things, and then they dig into your pocket to subsidize those same things. As Ronald Reagan put it, if anything moves, a Liberal will tax it. If it keeps moving, a Liberal will regulate it. And when it stops moving, a Liberal will subsidize it. Now, the commonality and the consistency in all of this is the simple. By blocking you from doing something and then making you ask the government to help you do it, it makes you reliant on them. It puts them at the center of all power, in charge of your life. And that is their mission, that is their goal. Mark Carney wants a full government takeover of our economy. He wants more control over your life, so elites and insiders like him control and profit from everything. We conservatives, by contrast, we believe in freedom. We want you to have the ability to control your own destiny and make your own course. We believe in freedom of enterprise, freedom of speech, thought, religion, expression, and more. We want government that minds its own business and leaves people to be free to decide for themselves. Let workers work, let builders build, let farmers farm, let investors invest, and let parents parent. Now, these might seem like theoretical differences, but they are very tangible. Here's the core difference between an economy controlled by the government and one controlled by the free market. A government-controlled economy is a political economy. Businesses have to clamor to please politicians and bureaucrats. In a free market, which we favor, businesses clamor to impress customers. The idea is to put people in charge of their economic lives by letting them have free exchange of work for wages, product for payment, and investment for interest. We want Canada to be the freest country on earth, where everyone who works hard gets a fair shot at a good life. And that is what brings us here to this moment. That's what brings us to the moment and the job that Canadians have given us. In the short run, our job is to be a strong opposition. In the long run, a principled government in waiting. As Lincoln said, I stand with a man when he stands right, and I stand against him when he stands wrong. We will, for example, offer any help we can to get a fair deal for Canada with our American friends. However, we will fight back when the government is wrong. We will fight tooth and nail against the ban on gas-powered vehicles. You should be in the driver's seat and have the freedom to decide what you drive. We will continue to oppose the industrial carbon tax, C-69, C-48, the cap on our energy production, the plastics ban. We're going to unleash our energy and our production and make Alberta and Canada the richest place on planet Earth. We will fight against C-11, the censorship law, and the Online Harms Act, so that Canadians can decide what they see and say on the internet. We will not let the government open your mail without a warrant. That's not how it works in a free country. We will fight for an end to the catch and release bail laws, which have unleashed chaos on our streets, and we will stand unapologetically with licensed, law-abiding, trained and tested firearms owners, our hunters and our sport shooters. And we will put Canada first in everything that we do, and that includes immigration. Look, we're a welcoming country, but the latest news that the Liberals allowed 17,500 foreign criminals to enter our country by sponging their prior criminal records is just the latest example in the radical, liberal, failed experiment with open borders. And Mark Carney refuses to deport any of these individuals, nor has he changed any of the radical immigration targets that Justin Trudeau left behind. Our housing, our health care, our jobs are overwhelmed. Our young people are cast aside while low-paid, temporary foreign workers take their jobs. We must end the abuse in the temporary foreign worker program, the international student program, the refugee system, and we must restore an immigration system that puts our country and its people first. We reject the radical Century Initiative, which Liberals have endorsed, saying that they want to bring our population to 100 million people over this century. Look, we don't blame people for wanting to come here. Almost all of us trace our lineage back to immigrants, other than our First Peoples. But that immigration must be controlled. It must be in numbers that we can absorb. It must be the right people at the right pace that will allow us to succeed as Canadians and integrate and be one united country. And to put Canada first, we need to have a strong armed forces. Conservatives will continue to champion our soldiers, our sailors, and our airmen to do the job of securing our sovereignty, rebuilding our alliances, asserting our claims, and also preparing for danger. But our military is not just about more money. Yes, we need more money, but that money needs to get to the front lines, not to back office bureaucracy, not to procurement boondoggles, and not to pet projects of the government. In reality, our military must have a warrior culture and not a woke culture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, fighting for these values is never easy. Change, as we've seen, is not easy. Nothing worth doing is easy. But building Alberta was not easy. You think it was easy for the frontier farmers and the prairie pioneers to break cold ground in order to settle this land? No, it wasn't easy either for the oilmen to pierce through the frost and stone to bring the black gold to the surface. It wasn't easy for the prairie mothers to feed hungry children during drought, depression, and war. It wasn't easy for us to run rail across Mustang and Mountain. It wasn't easy for our prairie boys to go off and fight for freedom against tyranny in the Great Wars. None of that was easy. Making Alberta was hard. Making Canada, the country we love, was even harder. But we don't back down and we don't run away when things get hard. We dust ourselves off, we get back in the saddle, and we gallop forward to the fight. So let's fight for our freedom, fight for our families, fight for Alberta, fight for Canada. I am ready for the fight. Are you ready to join me? Let's do it for the country we love. God bless Canada. Thank you very much and happy Stampede.
I don't want to jinx it for Poilievre, but in Battle River Crowfoot, I think he's going to pull it off. And look out, Mark Carney, Pierre Poilievre in September in that HOC is coming for you. You have so many questions left unanswered. My goodness, he can't even flip a pancake. Give me a break. We need an election, guys. It's coming. Blue wave. Nobody's talking about that recently, but it is building. I see it happening online. The contempt for our Prime Minister and his tactics, delay, distract, divide, sell out to China, sell us to the WEF, elbows up, elbows down, on your knees, Donald Trump, I'll do anything. It's so fake. We're done with this clown. Catch you in the next video. Aaron, thank you for watching. Man. Whew. What you gonna do? So we've got that, and we should be recording, and now we're gonna launch. Should take off.
Take off. Home point updated.
Going up. I don't know what's panicking about. So we've got it, and we're recording it. So, neato speedo. I don't know what's going straight up. I don't know how high that is. Pretty friggin' high. I'd be able to find somewhere that'll tell me. Now we're gonna spin. It says that it's up 78 meters. Pretty calm out there this evening, gang. Pretty calm out there this evening. And again, that's my red house at the bottom. Here, that's me. The waterfront down there, our little island. There's a big one out behind it. The old golf course. New apartments. I guess they're not that new anymore. Near the horizon there, that's the school and the complex, the fields, municipal building, center screen. Is that only 78 meters up? Wow. Seems high. All right, let's bring her down. feet, so we're all that way. Well, that's me right here. I'm waving. Obviously, I'm waving, guys. Hello, everyone. And bring it in here a little closer. It drops pretty quick when it wants to. So anyhow, we're going to bring this forward to me. Hovering, you've got you right there. It's very loud. I want to capture this. Neato, Speedo, that is pretty cool. I think it's cool. Do you?